It had been years. Years since she chose him over me. Years since she turned her back on the life we built. And now here she was, standing in the lobby of my empire, clutching her handbag like it was the only thing holding her together. I never thought I'd see her again. I never thought I'd care. But as I watched her from my office window, something inside me stirred. Not love, not pain, just the cold satisfaction of knowing she had finally realized her mistake. And it was far too late. I should have seen it coming. The signs were all there. Her restless eyes, the way she smiled at her phone, the sudden need to stay out late for work. But I ignored it. I wanted to believe in her, in us. Then one evening, everything changed. I came home early, excited to surprise her. But the moment I stepped inside, I felt it, the shift, the unfamiliar scent lingering in the air, the silence that wasn't quite right. And then the message, one simple text glowing on her screen. I can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing. My chest tightened. My hands went numb. I didn't confront her. I didn't cause a scene. I simply placed her phone back where I found it, walked into our bedroom, and started packing. When she came home that night, she didn't even ask why my bags were at the door. She knew. She stood there, arms crossed, face unreadable. Then, after a long silence, she spoke the words that sealed everything. I think this is for the best. No apology, no guilt, just a decision she had already made. Her choice. And so I made mine. I walked away without another word. Walking away from her should have felt like the hardest thing I had ever done. But in reality, it was just the beginning. The nights after I left were the worst. The silence was deafening. I told myself I didn't care, that I was better off. But the truth was that betrayal doesn't just hurt. It changes you. It forces you to face everything you once believed in and burn it to the ground. So I let it burn. I disappeared from the life I once knew. I cut ties with the people who reminded me of her. I moved to a different city, found a small apartment, and worked like a man possessed. Every hour, every second, I poured into building myself from scratch. While she was busy playing house with another man, I was building an empire. At first, no one noticed. Then they did. The struggling business ideas that once got rejected, they became power moves. The connections I couldn't get before, now they called me. The doors that were once slammed in my face, now they opened before I even knocked. I started my own company, and it took everything I had, my time, my energy, my sanity. But it worked. And suddenly, the tables had turned. I wasn't just some forgotten man she left behind. I was a man everyone wanted to know, the name they whispered in rooms she could no longer enter. And while I never once reached out to her, I knew she was watching. Because while I was rising, she was falling. Her new life? It wasn't the dream she imagined. The man she left me for? He was never planning to stay. Maybe he found someone younger. Or maybe he just got bored. Either way, he discarded her like she discarded me. And now, for the first time since she walked away, she had nowhere to run. Regret has a way of creeping in when the noise settles, when the distractions fade, when you finally have to sit alone with your choices. And for her, that moment came when she lost everything. The man she left me for, he was gone. At first, it was subtle, less attention, fewer gifts. Then the distance grew. One day, she woke up to an empty bed and an even emptier bank account. The lifestyle she traded our marriage for, it vanished like smoke. The so-called friends who encouraged her to leave me, they disappeared the moment her status changed. She was no longer the woman in his life. Now she was just another name they used to know. And that's when she started watching me. It started small, a name in an article, a passing mention in the news. Then it became unavoidable. My face on magazine covers. My company breaking into new markets. My name spoken with respect in circles she could never access. She saw me become the man she never believed I could be. And suddenly, the realization hit her like a storm. She had made the worst mistake of her life. One night, she sat alone in her apartment, smaller, emptier than she ever imagined she'd live in, and picked up her phone. Her fingers hovered over my name. Would I answer? Would I even remember her? Would I forgive her? She knew the answer. But desperation has a way of making you do things you swore you never would. And so, with a shaking breath, she sent the message, "We need to talk." I saw the message the moment it came in. Her name on my screen, a name I hadn't spoken in years. For a moment, I just stared at it, not because I missed her, not because I cared, but because I knew exactly why she was reaching out. It wasn't love. It wasn't guilt. It was regret. She had lost everything, and now she was looking for a way back. For a split second, I considered ignoring it, deleting it, pretending she never existed. But then I thought, no, she wanted to talk? Fine. I told her to meet me at a place we once called ours, a quiet cafe tucked away in the city. It was one of the few places that still held a shadow of our past. I wanted her to sit there, surrounded by the weight of what she threw away. She arrived early, sitting at a table in the far corner, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee she barely touched. And when I walked in, I saw it instantly, the regret written all over her face. She looked the same, yet different. Her hair was shorter, her once confident posture now hesitant, uncertain. And her eyes, they didn't hold the same arrogance they once did. When she saw me, she inhaled sharply, as if the sight of me was something. "She wasn't ready for you," she said softly, her voice almost a whisper. I didn't respond. I just took a seat across from her, leaning back, watching for a long moment. She just looked at me, her fingers tightening around her cup. "I've missed you," she finally said, her voice trembling. "I know I made a mistake. I was stupid, selfish. I raised a hand, cutting her off. I didn't want her excuses. "Why are you really here?" I asked, my voice calm, controlled. She swallowed, blinking back the emotion in her eyes. I thought, maybe we could start over, maybe we could fix things. I almost laughed. She really thought she could walk back into my life like nothing happened, like I had been waiting for her all these years. I leaned forward slightly, my voice dropping lower. "Tell me something. If your life had turned out the way you planned, if he hadn't left you, would you still be sitting here?" Silence. Her breath caught in her throat. She opened her mouth, then closed it, and in that moment I saw it. The truth she didn't want to say out loud. It wasn't me she missed. It was the security, the comfort, the version of herself she had when she was with me. I leaned back, exhaling slowly. I had my answer, and so did she. She shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her hands gripping the cup, like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. The silence between us was thick, suffocating. "It's not like that," she finally whispered. "I swear." I stopped, interrupted, my voice cold, detached. "Just stop." Her lips parted, but no words came. I saw in her eyes the desperation, the realization, the fear. She was losing whatever hope she had left. She wanted me to believe she was here because of love, that she had somehow come to her senses, but I knew better. "You didn't choose me when I had nothing," I said evenly. "You don't get to have me now that I have everything." A flicker of something crossed her face. Guilt, shame, maybe even a last bit of self-respect she had left. "I know I hurt you," she said barely above a whisper. "I know I don't deserve another chance, but I just thought that I'd take you back." I cut in, that I'd forget everything and let you waltz back into my life like you never walked away. She didn't answer because we both knew the truth. She hadn't come back because she couldn't live without me. She had come back because her backup plan had failed. And that's when I knew she wasn't worth hating anymore. Hate requires emotion. Hate means you still care. I didn't, and that was my victory. I pushed my chair back and stood up, sliding my hands into my pockets. "I think you should go," I said, my voice steady. Her breath hitched for a moment. She looked like she might argue, like she might beg, but then she saw it in my eyes. The finality, the absolute certainty that there was nothing left between us. Her shoulders slumped, her hands trembled as she reached for her purse. And just like that, the woman who once walked out on me was now the one being left behind. But before she could stand, I delivered the final blow. "By the way," I said, pausing just long enough for her to look at me, "I'm engaged." Her entire body went still. I watched the color drain from her face, watched as the weight of those two words sank into her like a blade. She parted her lips, but no sound came out. There was nothing left to say. I turned and walked away, leaving her frozen in place, drowning in the regret she created for herself. For years, I had been the one left behind, but now I was the one walking away. She sat there motionless. For the first time in her life, she had no words, no excuses, no second chances. She had come here believing she could fix things, that maybe the man she once abandoned would still be waiting. But instead, she found something worse than rejection. She found a man who had moved on, a man who didn't just survive without her but thrived. Her hands trembled as she clutched her bag, her mind racing with all the things she wanted to say. But it was too late. It had always been too late. Her eyes darted toward the door, hoping, praying that maybe, just maybe, I'd turn back. I didn't. I kept walking, never once looking over my shoulder. She exhaled shakily, blinking away the tears threatening to spill. She had lost me, truly, permanently. Not because I was angry, not because I wanted revenge, but because she had made her choice and now she had to live with it. She let out a slow, shaky breath, staring at the empty seat in front of her. The realization settled in heavier than she ever imagined. I wasn't the heartbroken man she once left behind. I was a man she could never have again, and that was a regret she'd carry for the rest of her life. As I stepped out of the cafe, the cool evening air hit me crisp and refreshing. For years, I thought closure meant getting an apology, hearing her say she was wrong, watching her regret everything. But in the end, closure wasn't about her. It was about me, about walking away with my head held high, about knowing that I need her or her regret to validate my worth. Some people only realize what they had when it's gone, but by then it's not love they want back. It's the comfort, the security, the version of themselves they lost. So if they ever come back, just remember, they don't miss you. They miss the way you made them feel. And that's not love. That's regret. The end.